I did not keep in mind that Ingress or Nginx could also be a point of failure in a system.
Something that you believe always works,
Yeah,
right?
Nginx, who could have thought that Nginx would, be overloaded with the number of requests coming in. So that was another thing that, we could have anticipated beforehand, or maybe an AI like Sherlocks would have anticipated for us.
Hi, I am Gaurav. I am the founder at Sherlocks.ai. We are AI for site reliability, and today we have Deepank, who's our guest on our first podcast. Deepank, we'd love to know about you and your journey.
Sure. So, hi, I'm Deepank Agarwal, the CTO at SpeakX.ai. I joined the organization back in 2019 when we were doing something very different. Since then, I joined earlier as a software engineer and then since have progressed to become the now CTO at the organization. Over the years, I've worked with a lot of people, a lot of great engineers who have built great systems, scalable systems. And it's nice to meet you, Gaurav. Overall, I'm happy to do this.
Amazing. We are so glad to have you here. So Deepank, let's start with the company first. What is SpeakX now? Used to be something else earlier.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that journey? What was it earlier? What is it now? What led to that shift?
Sure. So SpeakX now is an Gen AI enabled app that helps users learn how to speak proficiently in English. Earlier, we were doing something very different, which was we were building an extracurricular platform for kids to spend time productively, majorly during COVID. So we started with Yellow Class in the initial times of COVID, where we saw a huge traction in kids. We were doing live classes where kids came to learn how to dance, for to do draw and to also learn English. So English speaking came up from there. We were actually offering a program that was also helping users learn how to speak in English. And from there, once COVID, the COVID crisis resolved, we actually dived deeper into the English aspect of what we were offering. First in a video format, in a live class format. And since then, we've transitioned into a completely Gen AI enabled product that helps users have two-way interactions with an AI to become more proficient in English.
Fascinating, because I think this is the gap that always existed in Duolingo versus what, right? Like, because Duolingo, while it's extremely popular and it has helped a lot of people learn English, however, it's always been difficult to practice English. Like, you cannot practice English just by talking to an app or just by talking to yourself. You really need to converse and get the feedback, which is something that's extremely interesting. Tell me a little bit about yellow classes before COVID. Like, what was it before? Because you said you joined in 2019, yeah, and COVID had hit towards the end of 2019, early 20. Yeah. So what was it before? How did it change during COVID? And then when was this realization that this is more than a generic platform who does I'm assuming using live streaming teaches kids a bunch of things versus boiling down to this specific thing? Because I would imagine that it's extremely risky and quite a bold move to focus the complete direction and all the resources of the company in just one, like you could call it like one feature of the product. But how did that whole thing happen?
So basically, we had a lot of kids who came to the platform primarily to dance and learn how to draw, and even we had flameless cooking classes. So we had a lot of kids coming up for those primarily. We then, as a quick test, we started an English program as well. The major surprise element for us was that whenever kids signed up for the English program, even their mothers were a lot interested in learning English from the course that we had developed for kids. So from there was the primary insight we got that we should dive deeper into the English part, because it is a real need. Nobody can deny the fact that English can open a lot of doors for you in India especially, and being fluent in English increases your chances of success in life or in your professional career, at least today in India.
I can actually, give an input or two on this, because so I was one of the co-founders at Asan Jobs, and at Asan Jobs we were focusing on the blue and grey collar recruitment space, and it was evident while doing that anyone who knew English had at least a 20 to 30% net increase in take-home salary. Like, it has that huge impact, especially in India.
Yeah. We have a lot of users on our platform who are preparing for job interviews, and they need precisely that kind of English that can help them clear job interviews. We have a lot of people who want to learn generic English so that they can communicate in a better way with their friends. Maybe we even have army veterans on the platform who just out of a thing that they want to do, they want to learn English and be better suited to face the next chapter in their life. So quite a varied mix of people and audience on our app, and we are loving to solve that problem for all of them.
Amazing. That's amazing. We'll dive into the AI features of SpeakX in a bit, but before that, again, would love to dive deeper into your journey when you joined in as a software engineer, and then 6.5 years later, you are the CTO of the company. The company has went through major transitions in the meantime. I'm sure you yourself went through major transitions in your role as well as in your learnings, your experience, your expertise, and the systems that you have seen in this duration.
Very well said, Gaurav. I joined as a senior engineer in the team. I would not call it a team because I was actually the first one to join the organization. Right from the first line of code to the first deployment, I've seen it all. Earlier, as a software engineer, my responsibilities were limited to let's say a module that I was working on. But over the years, the scope has increased, the blast radius has increased to my current responsibility, wherein I have to handle everything from cost to keeping people motivated, keeping engineers motivated, hiring talented people in the team, maintaining scalability on the platform, and ensuring that there's no issues. Multiple aspects with respect to AI is being handled in the organization. We are working on a couple of projects where not only are we implementing and integrating AI, Gen AI, with in the AI conversations, but also building a feature to personalize the user's learning journey so that they get more relevant content, they get more apt content, so that they can progress faster in their fluency journey.
Very interesting. So talking about two parts specifically. One is specifically related to the people part of it. Like how has your learning evolved around people within the team, hiring, retention, growing the people in terms of their skill sets within the team, etc. How has that understanding evolved since the past few years?
Sure. So basically, me and my founder Arpit have always believed that we need good people in the organization. Between intent and skill, both of us have a very high conviction that skill can be learnt, but intent is something that needs to be there inbuilt into a person.
That would have been my rapid fire question, but yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So we actually check for intent and make sure that the person really wants to build something meaningful. That is the only criteria that we have when I hire for engineers, irrespective of their seniority, right from an intern to, let's say, a senior engineering manager. Intent is the one thing that I definitely want in that person, as compared to, let's say, a person who is highly skilled but doesn't really enjoy what they're doing. They will not be able to bring as much outcome as a person who really wants to build something and will go to any lengths to figure it out and then build it.
So it's interesting, but the question is, how do you evaluate intent?
So Gaurav, there's no hard and fast rule to evaluate intent per se in a person or in an engineer. What the metrics that we generally use are actually different for, let's say, an intern or for a senior engineer. It majorly revolves around how interested they sound on the work that they've done in the past, and how detailed are they in explaining when you speak to them about it. So what we've seen is a person who we are hiring for an intern, for an internship, is generally a good candidate if he's done past projects and is able to explain what he's done in that in detail and sounds interested in what he or she has built. One very common question in my interviews is that what is the most challenging problem that you've solved, or what is the most challenging problem that you faced and then resolved. This gives me a lot of clarity on the depth of the work that they've done, and how challenging that they found the problem and how they approached the problem. I think that tells me a lot on how interested that person is to build something really meaningful. I think more or less the same logic applies for a senior engineer as well, but you just get to go into more depth with someone senior because they've seen more of the world.
Makes sense. Makes sense. What about in-person interviewing versus online interviewing, especially now?
In-person interviews beats online interviews any given day, on any given day. The major difference with all these Gen AI tools coming in is, unfortunately, we've seen a lot of cheating happening on the online interview aspect. That's why we have actually made a mandate that we'll interview, at least one round of interview will be done in person, no matter in which city that guy or girl is in. We get them to fly to our office and have a in-person discussion with them to avoid all these aspects of unfair practices in interviews. It's unfortunate, but it is how it is.
That's very interesting. And in fact, one of the key challenges that I've seen a lot of teams struggle with in today's world is just AI generated applications. Like people get filtered by all the AI resume reviewers or whatever, and they land into your, they qualify for your they qualify upon screening by your AI resume reviewer or whatever ATS, and like in reality they don't know anything. I once talked to someone who had extremely interesting, like just out of the whack idea for how to avoid these resume reviewers or whatever, these AI resume creators or applications. I'll come to that, but like, have you faced challenges around more applications coming in, more AI generated applications coming in?
Not really, Gaurav. So basically, I place the human aspect of both interviews and shortlisting still at a very high level as compared to completely automating the process. That holds true for my development flow as well. I'll get into that later on, but I always have a human reviewer of applications and resumes as well in my flow of hiring. So and being an early stage startup, we don't need a lot of people, honestly. So it's always it has always been feasible that we have been able to manually screen applications and applicants on call and their resumes as well instead of going through an AI enabled tool.
That's it takes a lot of I would say restraint to not do that.
Yeah. So we did try out a couple of AI shortlisters, but I was personally not satisfied with the outcome that they generated. So I think it's manual for me, at least as of now and as of the foreseeable future.
Interesting. Let's talk about the scale and how did the scale grow at SpeakX, and let's also discuss about the challenges that scale brings with itself. Of course, a great problem to have, but yeah, still a problem.
Sure. So currently, our MAU is of around 1.75 to 2 million users. DAO is of around 200K users that come daily, and we currently have our app installed on around 3 million mobile phones on Android. Brings a different set of problems altogether when we look at scale. So I was actually speaking to a senior employee from Ola. He told me that I was in the nascent stages of building SpeakX. He told me that the world looks very different at scale as compared to how it's looking right now for you. And what I've learned over the time and over the iterations that we've done on the product is that after every 2x to 3x increase in scale, you have to do a major overhaul of the system, because it just isn't feasible to run on the same system that you had for, let's say, 100,000 users. When the users increase to, let's say, 300,000, the same tech that you had or the same practices that you had for 100,000 will most probably not work for let's say 300,000 users. So these two things have been with me for a very long time now and has been in practice with me and my team.
That's absolutely true. But how did your trajectory of scale look like? Pre-COVID, during COVID, post-COVID?
So with Yellow Class, which we were doing earlier, we had a very similar scale as to what we have right now. But when COVID and the lockdown restrictions lifted, we saw a major dip in the traffic on the platform because parents did not want their kids to spend as much time online and in front of screens. So we saw a major dip there at that point. But since then, we've managed to bring it back up in incremental amounts. It has been a collective effort of the complete team, ranging from building a good product to the marketing team bringing in good users, quality users, and we as the engineering team serving the right platform to our users which works well for them, and they enjoy actually using the platform.
Makes sense. Amazing. Let's talk about this is my favorite part. Let's talk about the biggest reliability accidents or incidents that ever happened in SpeakX or before that, Yellow Classes, or in your previous stints before that.
Sure. So I'd like to share two of the incidents that were mind-boggling for me at that point. So we were actually in a very early stage. We were just starting to build Yellow Class, and we had our V1 launch. So we were using Redis for caching, and we actually stored the complete stringified JSON of the user's data in a single key in Redis. And through a push notification, we got a huge spike in our traffic. So because of the large amount of storage in a single Redis key, Redis started bloating up and then eventually started restarting. So that was one of the major learning that we had, that Redis is supposed to be used as a small, fast in-memory data store, and not, you should not be overly reliant on being Redis as your primary data source. So we had Mongo on the backend, but Redis was something that we were extensively using more than it was meant to be used for. So that was one
That
big
usually
learning.
happens with caching, right? Like it's always too tempting to put everything in cache because, of course, you want to serve the requests faster, you want to reduce the latency. What makes sense is just put everything in cache and then just retrieve from there. Yeah. But yes, these are the ways in which it fails. In this particular case, like how did you figure out something is wrong, and how long did it take you to fix that? How did you figure out? How did you point out? How did you pinpoint that this is the exact problem, that Redis is the one which is the culprit here, and because of this reason?
So unfortunately, at that point in time, we did not have alerting and reporting on the infra side of things on the platform. So it was more like when my CX team came to me and said कि app नहीं चल रही है, or they started getting a lot of complaints from the users that the app isn't working. Then we had to dive through our system, check every aspect, and then figure out that Redis is the culprit. That's where the part where alerting and reporting comes in, that you need to have very robust alerting and reporting on your system, so that you can at least minimize the time it takes for you to resolve that issue. So this particular issue was found and resolved in like an hour. It's not a good tat. It's as bad as it could be, but it took us an hour. Unfortunately, vertically scaling Redis was a solution that did not come to my mind. So we actually removed Redis altogether, scaled our DB, and started serving traffic directly from the database instead of using Redis. It's not a good fix, but it worked for us at that point. But
yeah, mitigation is always the immediate thing that we should all anyways focus on. But yeah, and you mentioned you have another example.
Yeah, the second one was when we became a little more knowledgeable about the infra part of things. But of course, we can't know everything. The second part was, again, in case of a spike traffic, but not exactly. We were actually pre-scaling systems to anticipate a spike that we were going to have because of some campaign or something that we were running. I did not keep in mind that ingress or Nginx could also be a point of failure in a system.
Something that you believe always works,
yeah,
right?
Nginx, who could have thought that Nginx would, be overloaded with the number of requests coming in. So that was another thing that, we could have anticipated beforehand, or maybe an AI like Sherlocks would have anticipated for us that, Nginx is not scaled up enough or does not have enough resources to handle so and so number of requests. But yeah, this was an easy fix. We actually horizontally scaled Nginx. We had that functionality then, and it resolved in a couple of minutes. So this was only for a couple of minutes and not too long.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, but I think it's more often than not, it's finding the problem then fixing it, which takes longer, right? Yeah. Just discovering the problem itself is a big issue.
I think having a talented team like I have, finding the issue is the part that takes majority of the time as compared to fixing it, because a person who is aware of what's working in the platform will obviously be able to pinpoint very quickly on what exactly needs to be fixed. The issue comes on finding out the part that is broken. Right. I think there an AI can massively help us.
I would love to hear about how you have been using Sherlocks.ai for the past few months. What have been your delight points? What have been your the places where Sherlocks have surprised you, and how your team is using Sherlocks?
Sure. So recently we had an outage in one of our LLM calls, a third-party provider LLM calls. Sherlock started analyzing the error rate and the reason for the errors. It was a 429, which is a resource exhausted error. So basically we were doing more calls than the capacity that was allocated, or the quota that was allocated to us. Very surprisingly and out of the blue, we got a suggestion from Sherlock's that, this is not really a fixable problem. unless you can get that quota increased. So how about you integrate a fallback model when, for example, the said LLM fails? Why don't you go to a fallback model and then hit that and keep the experience correct and tip top for your users? So give an AI giving such a suggestion was unthinkable a few months ago, but this is something that opened our eyes that AI for SRE is something very real and can solve a lot of our problems to keep the systems up, and can free a lot of bandwidth of the SREs to work on other tasks, or build better systems, or architect better systems, and then get it done from the AI, and then have an AI monitor them as well, so that they have a little bit more peace.
We would love to deliver all of those to you very, very soon. Interesting, and we'll jump right into the AI shift. In fact, so there are two parts to AI in a CTO's life. One is how are you leveraging AI in terms of your SDLC, improving your the velocity of delivering value. Delivering features is still, I think, not the right metric. But how do you have your team deliver more value by leveraging AI? That's a primary one.
Yeah. So basically, I think there are multiple aspects to this problem. AI-driven development is not the only thing, and velocity is not the only metric that you can track or you should track when seeing if AI is a positive thing for the team or not. Uh, Based on our recent experiences, or based on our experiences over the past few months, we have seen that it has increased our speed, but in some of the cases, it has also it has also increased our time to debug and figure out issues post it goes live. So there have been cases where things have been missed, some minor things have been missed because it was an AI generated code. It did not come up in QA, or it did not come up during testing. It went live, then something break. It was mostly around design, wherein it was somehow missed. But yeah, measuring AI should not only be in terms of speed, it should also be in terms of quality and how well you're using AI. There's an angle of cost as well, but I think for an early stage company, exploring AI to increase their speed and while maintaining quality is more important than maintaining cost or how much it is charging you to use an AI tool.
Makes sense. I'm curious, like, what are the different things that you have tried? Like, of course, giving away cursor or anti-gravity now to the team is table stakes. How do you go beyond that? Have you tried anything specifically to have your team use more of AI, or have them somehow explore more ways to build things leveraging AI and LLMs in particular?
Sure. So I have given my team free hand to use whatever tools they see fit to improve their quality of work, both in terms of velocity and in terms of making sure that good quality code, error-free, bug-free code is being pushed out. I think my team has explored a lot of tools ranging from improving development to automation testing to unit testing, and we are also building an in-house QA tool that we are calling QA Genie, that will actually help us build test cases for automation testing, AI-enabled automation testing
For the app.
For the app, yes. So what it does is you give them description of, let's say, a module. It spits out all the test cases that can be tested in terms of normal text or steps on how to test this, and then you give that text to a platform that has an Android simulator attached, and then it goes through all those steps and then tests those flows on an actual simulator to give you a result on what's working or what's not working. I think this has massively helped us to reduce redundancy of testing critical flows in our app every day. So for example, I don't have to anymore test, or my QA engineer does not have to test the onboarding flow very frequently. It is tested automatically once a day by a platform called Autosana. What it does is you give the prompts, it schedules a test suite for, let's say, 6 a.m. every day. It tests the onboarding flow, the login flow, the payment flow, and all those things, and then gives out a result of what's working, what's not working. And if it's not working, we can directly see the report and see what's exactly not working, and then roll out a fix if needed. That has been a game changer for us.
Very interesting. And how do you measure the impact of, like, of course, as you said, right, like it cannot just be, the amount of code churned or number of pull requests or whatever, right? And this is a question that every CTO today is struggling with. How do you measure the impact of using all sorts of copilots, cursors, whatever's of the world, the real impact of the tool set on every layer of the SDLC?
Sure. So there's no graph that you can use to measure this. It is more of an understanding that, for example, if earlier a task was done in, let's say, X number of days, now it can be done in X number of hours. Uh, the other part is how many times the QA engineer identifies an issue in the task. That is one major metric. Earlier, if it was, uh, let's say two bugs identified in a major module, that should not increase. It should only decrease, even if you're using AI. With the earlier models, a couple of months ago, this was not the case. But with the recent latest models coming in, this has improved massively in terms of writing correct code, even getting AI to write the correct code. The third part is obviously the amount of code. What we have observed is that AI writes a lot of redundant code, and the human engineer actually has to keep in mind while pushing out their own module that the code written by AI is only the part that is relevant is pushed out and not everything. So a human layer review is still essential, is what I've been able to gauge.
Makes sense. And also talking about the impact of AI in the reliability part of the SDLC, like, what has been your experience in that, especially, so the thing is that when you're writing code, there's by default a human in the loop, and the time pressure while, writing code is not so high versus when you are maintaining things, maintaining systems, running systems online. And when systems break, you do not have the luxury to always have a human in the loop, or have the luxury of time that you can go wrong twice but get it right in the third prompt. So what has been your experience, or how do you see that panning out in the next maybe a year or so?
Right. So as of today, I personally am very comfortable giving AI access, read-only access to my infrastructure and uh, my internal systems. And I would love to have it, do an analysis of what's working, what's not working, or what can potentially be an issue. But I would still like to have a human apply the fix after seeing what the AI has given as suggestions on what could the potential fix be. I am, as of today at least, not very comfortable giving right access to the AI, especially on the infra part of things. As far as code is concerned, I think AI has become quite robust in the sense that 95% of the times it's giving out accurate, relevant, and concise code. There's still a 5% gap when it comes to complex things, but more or less, I think it's become pretty good at giving out end-to-end code base for complete modules.
Also talking about the in light of AI shift, talking about the product itself, how has it evolved? I mean, the idea itself is compelling because you're fundamentally filling the gap that Duolingo, for example, has not been able to do, or has chosen not to do, or whatever be the reason. But basically, you're filling the gap that Duolingo has left of being able to practice the language, practice English with an AI or a system itself, because what at least I have seen so far is more than practicing, it's the embarrassment of speaking or talking in a language with someone while you're learning the language. That's the biggest pain point, I feel.
Yes, that is very true. Uh, Shame, to be honest, is one motivating factor for at least people in India to learn how to speak in English. We have spoken to a lot of users uh, who have said us in so many words that we feel ashamed to go out with our friends because they can speak English, but we unfortunately cannot, as compared to those guys. So our platform is actually built for users who understand English at a certain stage, but are not very confident in speaking fluently, or are unable to speak fluently. Uh, the earlier model that we had was of videos wherein you were able to watch videos and practice it yourself without having anybody to give you feedback. The major shift that Genie has brought is around the feedback part of things, wherein we can actually have you say things to an AI, and then the AI will gauge without judging that this is something that you can improve, or this is something that you're doing right. This is how fluent you are. These are the words that you mispronounced, and this is how you do it. So a physical teacher is obviously somebody who can help you with this, but with a population like ours, that is not really feasible. And even in schools, personalized learning is something which is not yet solved. But AI, especially Gen AI, helps us do that. If, for example, you can speak 5 words, but I can only speak one, I can actually customize the program for you to move ahead faster, because you already know those 5 words, but I can focus on improving or helping me improve those remaining 4 words first, and then taking you to the next level. So personalization is one thing. Two-way communication obviously is the other, wherein we can have role-based or scenario-based conversations. For example, if you want to order food in a restaurant, uh, earlier you could not practice this, but now you can with an AI, and it'll help you resolve or improve on your mistakes as well. So these are two major parts where you're using AI in a user-centric capacity. The other aspect is we are able to personalize every aspect of the user's journey, ranging from the content that they see, the notifications that they get, the AI conversations that they take part in, and helping them improve at a much faster pace than, let's say, a class full of kids would, or let's say an offline coaching center would help you.
Interesting. This is I mean, education and AI is something that I would love to see more. It's great that the things that you talked about, the features that you have built with SpeakX. I mean, this is exactly what AI was meant to do in education, right? Like personalized, two-way learning, access to a teacher, literal teacher at any given point of time. This is exactly what is the holy grail for AI and education. Talking about reliability in Gen AI, of course, there's a part of systems reliability, which is whether the systems are functional or not. But does the idea of reliability change when you're building more of Gen AI features, which are going live with hundreds of thousands of users?
Oh yes, definitely, Gaurav. So with Gen AI, there's no concept of a binary right or wrong anymore. For example, with a normal API, you can say that this is giving the correct response, yes or no. But in an AI, you can have unlimited number of responses which are partially right, and you just have to find that one which is absolutely right. So we have tools built into the system that helps us judge all those responses, and help the model or modify the prompt in a way that picks the best response, or make sure that the next conversation that the user has is a little more apt as compared to the last one that they had, while maintaining context, while making sure that some guardrails that are set have to be followed very strictly. The user does not receive incorrect feedback, because that would be a very bad experience for the user if we suggest an incorrect correction in whatever they've said. So, for example, if a person has used incorrect grammar, we have to inform them with 100% accuracy that this is the correct way to say this particular line, and not give them incorrect or partially correct suggestions, because doing that would hamper the user's learning journey and experience.
That's true, and the pressure to prove is at least 10x higher on AI-enabled systems versus human systems, right? Like we see that example over and over again in self-driving cars, for example. Humans together cause, I don't know, I don't have the number, but like millions of accidents a year. But if a self-driving car leads to one accident, it just pushes the rollout dates or whatever by years. So the pressure to perform accurately is much higher on AI-enabled systems.
That's very true. That's very true.
Deepank, what is one uncomfortable truth about building AI-enabled applications at scale?
That's a very interesting question, Gaurav. I think what we've internally gotten to call it is the migration tax. So with the speed of new models coming in and new tech coming in, every few weeks or every few months, we feel the need to evolve and have to move back a few paces to rebuild with a newer model, with a newer stack that is a little painful at scale, because a lot of users are involved. There are a lot of variables involved in terms of giving them correct and accurate responses in terms of both feedback and driving the conversation. So reiterating every few months with newer models, just so that the users get the freshest of the content and freshest of the tech, is one thing that is pretty painful, and it's very important to understand that this is something that has to be done. There's no way around it, because everybody else is doing it. So you will have to do it as well to stay ahead of the curve.
Absolutely, and this is one of the central thoughts that we have while building Sherlocks.ai, that the models will keep on advancing at a very rapid pace. The whole idea of a wrapper on top of a model is, how it's been discussed about. Like, if the wrapper is too thin, you have very little moat. The thickness of the wrapper is what matters the most. In our case, the way we think about it is that LLMs will keep getting better at every single thing. The question is, in your particular use case, how better are you compared to an LLM to solve that use case, which could be a combination of the data, the process, the user interface itself, a bunch of things. For example, one of the conscious choices that we have made at Sherlock's is that we work right within the Slack without the need of a user interface. Like, Slack itself is our user interface. So absolutely, I think I completely agree with you that the process of building applications has evolved and keeps evolving every few months, and you do have to take a step back to move 2 steps forward. With that, we come to an end of our conversation with Deepank. Deepank, it was so lovely to have you here. I enjoyed every part of the conversation.
Thank you for having me, Gaurav.
Thank you so much.